Did you know knights in the Middle Ages had to swear a sacred oath? No knight, no glory. In the tapestry of medieval Europe, the path to knighthood was far more than a mere journey of martial prowess. It was a sacred pilgrimage of the soul, a transformation that demanded not just skill with sword and, picture, a young squire, his heart pounding with anticipation, standing on the threshold of his destiny. Before him lay not just a blade of steel, but the weight of centuries of tradition, honor, and duty. This was no simple ceremony, no mere formality. It was a moment that would define his entire existence, shaping him into a paragon of virtue in a world often shrouded in darkness. The squire would kneel before his lord, his mentor, and his god. With trembling lips but resolute spirit, I pledge my loyalty to my lord and my land to defend them with every breath in my body. Spoken lightly and forgotten with the setting sun, they were chains of honor binding tighter than any physical shackle. For the knight to be, this oath was the very essence of his being, the foundation upon which he would build his life and legacy. It was a sacred trust between lord and vassal, a bond forged in the fires of mutual respect and shared purpose. A knight's loyalty was his North Star, guiding him through the treacherous waters of medieval politics and warfare. It meant standing firm when others fled, speaking truth when lies would be easier, and sacrificing personal gain for the greater good of those he served. It was the strength to face not just physical dangers, but moral challenges. The courage to stand alone against injustice. A knight's courage was the fire that burned away doubt and hesitation, leaving only the pure steel of resolve. And honor. Honor was the very air a knight breathed, the blood that flowed through his veins. The vow to protect the weak was not a condescension, but a sacred duty. In a world where might often made right, knights were to be the champions of those who could not defend themselves. Widows, orphans, the poor, and the oppressed all could look to a true knight as their guardian and advocate. This was not charity, but justice, a recognition of the inherent dignity of all human beings, regardless of their station in life. Service to one's lord was more than mere feudal obligation. A knight served his earthly lord with the same devotion and selflessness with which he served his heavenly Father. This service was not slavery, but the highest form of freedom, the freedom to choose, a life of purpose and meaning over one of selfish pursuit. It was a commitment to face life's challenges head-on, to never shrink from duty or responsibility, no matter how daunting. It was a promise to stand firm in the face of adversity, to be a rock upon which others could depend in times of crisis. A reminder that even in the darkest times there were those who stood for something greater than themselves. As the young squire rose, now a knight, he did so not just with a sword in his hand, but with the weight of his sacred vows upon his shoulders. He was no longer just a warrior, but a living embodiment of the highest ideals of his society. For these knights, honor was indeed worth more than life itself. They understood that a life without honor was no life at all, merely existence. They knew that long after their bones had turned to dust, their deeds and the principles they upheld would. In the end, the knightly oath was more than just words. It was a transformation, a rebirth. It took boys and forged them into men, took warriors and shaped them into heroes. It was the crucible in which the very best of human nature was refined and perfected. So the next time you hear tales of knights in shining armor, remember that behind the gleaming steel and flowing banners lay something far more. Precious, hearts bound by sacred oaths, lives dedicated to the highest ideals of human virtue. For in the world of chivalry, there was indeed no knight without glory, and no glory without honor. No knight, no glory,